Alright, we should be ready to go. Alright, welcome to CP Sunshine here. This is the final map of the Newbie Cup series, and I guess we'll just start off with a simple thing, which is callouts. Most important part number one. I'll just work my way from last to mid, and then, yeah, we'll go on to mid fights from there. From last, you got your left door, right door. Oh, it's kind of the opposite, I guess, if you're the attacking team, but I'm talking from a defender's perspective. You got like your upper left, up on the right here. Some people call this like barrels. It's kind of a generic, it could be confused with the other one, so typically people call this like lower barrels or something like that, or like people would just call this whole area like right side as the attacker, or like right side as a defender, left side as an attacker. And then you've got your points as usual. You have this area. Some people call this cat, some people call this crane. So it may be good to have a standardized call out for it on your team, and then everything else kind of like just works off of having things like relative, like you have like your in front of points or behind point depending on which team you're on. And then that's pretty much it for last. I guess you could have like a call out for like under crane, because sometimes you'll put like a sentry here, or like you'll have your medic playing here if the opponent team has a sniper or something. You could probably also have a call out for this back area here, but I don't really, my teams that I played on didn't really use one, so I guess we just could call this like back left from an attacking side, or right side on these things. I guess you can also, people call these crates. You can put like a disad sentry spot here. And then out of last, you got pushing into last, you got lobby, you've got your right side, you got your upper left. This is typically called like upper lobby. And then upper lobby leads to a shutter, which is not here. Oh, here it is. You got shutter here, you got lower lobby, and then down here you have dungeon. And dungeon, all these doors connect out to second point here. Shit dick, yes, some people also call that this area here shit dick. I'm not sure how that name came about, but it is a name that some people use. Anyways, moving on to second, you have this upper lobby area leads out to battlements, or bats for short. You got dungeon again, lower lobby. And then this area people call concrete or plat. You got your point, and then you got the forward spawn here. And then on each side you have here you have choke, on the left side you have valley, and then on the right side you have cafe here. And then moving through all these chokes, sorry, this one's literally called choke, but moving through each one of these individual transition sort of sections, you've got mid here. The main callouts here, you have shed, you have, people call this death corner, pretty similar to process death corner, and for pretty similar reasons. And on each side you have a building called Tetris. And then here you got the forward spawn on each side. Cafe, there's like a roof on cafe. I don't know if people like have a specific call out for this. They just call it like on top of cafe pretty commonly, or like above cafe. And then you got the big sort of central defining feature of Sunshine mid, and you got the bell tower here. Underneath bell tower is the points, and I don't think there's much of a call out other than under point here. And that's pretty much all the important callouts for Sunshine. And then I guess next, moving on to rollouts. It's pretty simple, I'd say, I guess. So for medic, for all your team, you'll all be rolling out left side. For roamer, you'll just do like 2 jumps like that. Oops, I forgot. But your medics and your scouts, they just run through. Everyone rolls out through upper left. You guys all run through here, and then once you guys get to battlements, you hear people call it the area under point submarine or suicide. Interesting. All right. Well, you could figure that out with your team, I suppose, and just have a standardized call out for that. Anyways, so everybody rolls out to bats, and then from here you have kind of 2 options to go. You can either roll out through valley, which is typically something your demo man will call first, and then your team kind of follows from there. And alternatively, you can roll out through choke here. And choke, I guess this kind of ties into like the way you play mids on this map. Is it's a rotational mid. There's not really much of a way to like just meet people straight across the point. So you kind of like, you either go right or you go left, and I'd say typically if you're planning to go left on a mid like this, rolling out valley is pretty nice because you're already kind of like committed to the left side, and you're further into the left, as well as you can get a good spam angle on their combo if they're coming through choke here, especially as demo man. You can get a lot of damage off with stickies. And also the nice thing about rolling out left is that your demo man, he will be, since he's jumping off from bats, he gets a medium health pack here, which as opposed to choke, there's not much health on Sunshine mid. You just kind of jump from there through choke, and then if you miss the ramps, the roof on top of cafe, you just call it roof. That works, yeah. Anyways, so that's the rollouts. Oh, I guess I can demo man. More specifically, you can like typically you'll either put like a sticky on like this sort of this wall here, or you could put it on the floor and like just do a crouch dead or whatever. And then for roamers, you've also got the option of like the fast rollout. I use it off, but it's a left-handed jump, and then you hit a ramp slide off of here, and then this will send you flying. This will send you flying either onto like cafe roof, or if you're really psycho, you could like go off that and like go straight into their choke or their cafe or their valley. Or you can. I just like to land on Tetris and do a bit of spamming before I like continue whatever my team's doing on mid. Going choke is the same thing. You can either go left or right. The nice thing about choke is that it's nice and centralized, so you can kind of like rotate either way depending on what your team wants to do or what their team's doing. It's nice to get a spot sometimes. If you're playing this like as a reactive mid where you're trying to like rotate opposite of what the opponent team is doing, then yeah, you can just kind of like come out central and then see which way they go and then kind of move accordingly. And then you can walk right as well, similar thing. And because this map, I'd say, is generally like not that big of a mid. If you compare it to something like process mid, it's a lot larger. And so here you don't really have a lot of space if the opponent team rotates to meet you. So of these two mids I just talked about, going left or going right, it kind of branches off individually into like we are meeting them in a corner, or they're rotating opposite to us. And the way you play it kind of differs a little bit based on which one that happens. So, I guess starting off with the both teams rotate around each other. If you guys are going opposite directions, what you'll do is you'll just kind of come up on either side, try and get some spam damage in, and also catch whatever players are, whatever stragglers for their team are kind of like either too slow or overextended. So, that's a good example of this, I guess. Let's say we're going right here, from choke to right. And let's say they're rotating left to us. So if they leave, like let's say they have like someone in valley or on their shed, if they overstay their welcome there, they just kind of get focused down, and then you can just, once you have that one pick, you can kind of like work together to collectively collapse on them as the mid goes on, and then you just kind of sort of win off numbers. Alternatively, if you are playing to meet them, then you can expect that you're going to run into them pretty quickly. Like, let's say they roll out through valley, and then we come through choke and we're going right. If they meet us here, we can pretty reasonably expect to like kind of meet them in the middle, and when that happens, what you want is to like have your soldiers bomb over and like do damage, whatnot, while the rest of your combo walks forwards and like sort of like cleans them up and like deals a lot of damage and hopefully gets enough picks to win the mid out. An interesting thing about this mid is that some teams like to like fully rotate all the way around, like they'll walk from their side all the way to the right, and then once they stop on point, some people like to stop on point here and like just play the high ground, but other teams will like keep on rotating right, and like both teams will end up like in each other's chokes. And in the case that happens, if your team like let's say has like a bit better cap time than them, and you're able to like take the mid while they are standing on your choke, then they can't really get, the only way they can get out is like through you guys. So something that can happen is that if you just take the point immediately and just rush them while their combo is stuck behind on your side, I have seen it happen that back caps, like not even a back cap, you just run forwards while their combo is stuck behind and you just win the round out by player ad there. So that's something that can happen. But another thing is if you are rotating opposite to them, and once you reach this high ground, I like to stop here and like sort of fight across points, because otherwise you're kind of giving up the high ground, and if they just stay on, then like now I'm trying to shoot upwards at them, and that's not really as advantageous. So you meet them on even ground here, and you can also fight across point. There's like a couple bombs you can do off of this bell tower here. You can also bomb off the roofs. And there's a couple spam angles too, especially as soldier. If you like fast roll out through choke, there's like this. You spam underneath the point here. You can spam, get a pretty good spam from cafe here, but like you also just sort of get spammed out in return pretty quickly because you're like sort of the center of focus of attention if you're on height and they're meeting you. So make sure not to like over spam as soldier and like Bluetooth. Sure, I guess if you had something.
Your Twitch stream is showing your Discord.
Yeah, I'm aware. This
Oh,
is
what
just,
the fuck?
I just streamed the, Oh, hang on, am I guess I can't full screen. Oh, I see the problem.
Okay.
Let me fix that. I guess because typically when I stream, it just shows some other coach's stream. But now that I'm the one doing it, I should probably change that. You're right.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, game capture. Hello, DWW. Is there something
Hey,
you want
what's
to
up,
say about
everybody?
mids?
No, I just wanted to say hello to everybody here.
Oh, well, hello. And I guess I shall move you back to the audience. Meanwhile, let me figure out how to stream my actual game. Can I not? Is it not detecting my TF2? Hold on a second. I suppose I need to figure out how to. Don't set it to capture any full screen application. I don't have it set to that. I'm trying to just add an extra Windows source. Capture specific window. Oh, there we go. TF2. Is this working? Oh, looks like it. Alright, I will assume this is working. If someone else watching the stream could let me know. Oh, I see some typing. Okay, it works. Where was I? Yeah, that was mostly mid, so am I missing anything? Well, I guess I've pretty much got it. Alright, so then I guess assuming all goes well with your mid, you have all your players, and let's now talk about pushing into second. So I guess starting from the worst case scenario, it's even Ubers, but they're on second now. Typically what you'll do is you'll bring your combo to you bring your combo to pressure and then you sack your soldiers in through one of the doors. Pretty common sack for your soldiers is they'll just do like a 2-rock bomb off through choke here. There's a couple bombs you can do through the valley as well, off like this wall here. Or I think there's one. I think it might be. I think I messed it up, but one rocket off here. You do like a speed shot through and off the ramp, and you end up flying behind their combo here. Anyways, but then meanwhile, before that's happening, you want to bring your combo to pressure, and you can really, I guess, primarily you'd pressure through one of two doors. You don't really, combo doesn't really pressure valley as much because, unless you're trying to get your soldiers through and like they're getting stuffed by their flank. But more commonly, you'll see your for example, demo men can shoot over this wall on second. So you'll be spamming through here, and then your soldier goes through a door that's not being watched. Similarly, you can also pressure cafe. You can kind of get spam here, and then you can kind of keep in while they're looking at you. Your soldier comes in through another door. Next, assuming it is add, you should be able to. You can either combo can pressure valley to send people. Oh yes, in behind. That's another play you can do. So because valley here is so close to behind. Lobster though, I've never heard that call out. You can kind of pressure valley here and then send a player above the player behind to pinch, and then from here you can kind of like mess around in their backlines and whatnot and force them to like turn back and deal with you. That's another play you can do. You can work it out with your team and whatnot. Taking second, assuming it's add, you can try it through cafe. So the main thing you want to watch out for here is either traps or like a soldier who can as you guys walk through cafe here, you gotta be watching out for a soldier that can like bomb through behind and land on you guys. But other than that, cafe, because if they're on dis, they're gonna be playing on bat, so it's usually a pretty safe door to go to drive through because it's kind of the furthest door from them. Alternatively, if you just have like a lot of players up or something, or like player advantage or Uber ad, you can also kind of try and come through choke. The main thing, as usual with any other map, when you're trying to drive through a door, is to watch out for bombers and traps. So, also depending on whatever door, if the opponent team is holding close, you might as well just use into them regardless. And then, coming through Valley here, you can just sort of, this is more of an aggressive door, you could use through onto them if they're close enough to be caught. But if not, we'll just kind of take the points and then set up for your last fight, last push. Alright. And then once you have successfully taken second, I guess we'll first talk about like the disad hold. Let's say you take second, but their combo gets out, and now it's full disad again, and all the players are up. You can pretty commonly you can play to leave through Cafe here, for a similar reason. If they come through, then they are kind of far away from you, and you can have your players just get out, your combo get out safely. During this time, you'll have like your soldiers spam whatever door they're playing through, try and get an early force, all just some spam damage. Lower or whatever. And then once you're evens, you'll typically have your combo holding, until you're ready to push, you'll have your combo holding on points, or like let's say you failed a sack and now you're just waiting for the counter sack on even still. You'll have your combo playing on plat or on points, and you'll typically have like whatever surviving soldier to survive that sack that he'll be holding lower and like maybe getting a spot, and you don't want to be too aggressive here because they can have a sniper or whatever. But spamming through lower and then spotting it and waiting for your players to come back up so you can sack again. Pushing into last, let's say you have Uber and you're trying to rip a sack through lobby now. I'd say generally, you can always expect the shutter to be trapped, so it's generally just better to bring your combo in through lower lobby, primarily. And then from here you can do a variety of things really. This is being recorded, right? Yes, it is. It is. This Twitch VOD will be up, and then after that I'll upload it to YouTube. Lots of people like to sack their soldiers. Lots of people like to sack soldiers through upper right, and like speed shot through onto the demo a bit better than I can. Alternatively, you can do a lot of left side pressure. Left side pressure is really nice on this map because like you can expect their combos to be playing further back or like on point. And so typically you can kind of like pressure their soldiers off of the left side here and then into last. And then through here you can get like a really deep peek. You will be spammed by this door, by this angle here, because their combo and their demo man and whatever will be rotating to meet you here. But you can get a pretty deep peek into last here, like just without even like crossing this line into like full lobby. And if you're able to, and you're able to like kill their players and also like just keep on going without being like threatened, you can really get some really good pressure in on this point just by like taking it in left and sort of melting through. Also, side note, there's this, commonly as a defender, you'll just kind of have your soldiers here, one soldier on crane, but as roamer, if you don't want to like jump up here and ruin your crit heals or whatever, or your buff, there's this little lip you can stand on, like you can use this to just crouch jump up onto the point. And then, let's see if I check my notes. I feel like I'm forgetting some things. I talk fast and forget. Pushing last. Yes. So, once you're taking an Uber into last, the pretty standard bread and butter of Ubers into last is you kind of come through upper right, and then you just use through demo scout, your typical thing. You try and catch whatever players are caught in here, and then depending on how much Uber you have left, you can either cross left and like spam out their combo who's rotating through this door, or you can, or if you don't have enough Uber left, you'll just sort of end on this side and then sort of fight across and meet them as they come out. Alternatively, if you are choosing to like melt and pressure through left side, you can try and get in deep, and then depending on how the pressure and how the spam goes before how your sack goes, you can still pressure and rip a sack through when the people are not looking. And then you'll either take an Uber like closer to points, or just take an exchange at worst case. Ideally, you do want to get a force first, though. Goodbye, DWW. Thanks for tuning in for a bit. There's a couple other sacks you can do too. In addition to that lower sack up through here, you can kind of come up through this. I'm not very good at it, but you can come up through this wall and get some sort of high bomb going there. Typically, there'll be the defending team on evens will have a sentry up, so you'll want to spam that out first. But then after that, after the sentry goes, you can kind of bomb wherever and take space and get your force. And you can take a dungeon Uber too, in theory. It's sort of like, you can think of it sort of similar to Process 1, like as like it's not really a door you like you really want to like go through immediately, but like if you can take it fast, like you can catch the enemy off guard, it can be a pretty good door to like take a fast Uber through and like get up onto them and whatnot. That height is nice. Yeah, there's a lot of nice height on this. Catwalk here, or shit dick as people call it. You can sketch a pretty okay spam here, especially if they don't have like a scout challenging you. Is there anything else I want to talk about for pushing last? Yeah, it seems to have a worse height disadvantage in process. Yeah, it's not really like the optimal use through. If you have time, you should probably try to take it upper right instead. Also, something that I can't really demonstrate, but as a single person, but if you hug this wall here, I'm pretty sure your shadow shows through on the other side of the wall here. So if you are, something to note, if you are taking like a upper right Uber, you just don't hug the wall, and because otherwise they'll kind of see you coming and they'll know a bit better. So just don't hug this wall, and then you can take your Uber through and catch whatever is in there, fight whatever's not. That sort of thing, I guess. No clip back on. Assuming your mid fight went poorly. Am I forgetting anything yet? I talked about pushing into second. I talked about walking through doors, getting into last, sacking, that sort of thing. I think I've covered most of the attacking half. And then moving on to the defender's half now. Then, so I suppose best case scenario is you get out on last and it's even. You get out on mid after the mid fight and you have enough players and you have enough Uber to make it to like even to hold this map evens. So from the defender's perspective here, you will typically have your pocket soldier holding cafe, your demo man and your pocket scout and medic all combo playing on this sort of concrete / platform area, and then you'll have your flank sort of in this general valley area. You can also stand up on top of this in a soldier, get some open here. Unfortunately, I don't think there's a way down without taking fall damage, so that does kind of ruin your crit heals, which is a minor thing. As flank players, you'll typically be like living off of this lower pack here, as well as the small health pack up here. But then something to note about this is that when you are sort of like taking damage and backing out, if they're like heavily pressuring through valley here, you don't really want to back up through and like hug this wall here, because as you can see, you can kind of there's still a spam angle where you can kind of like just get shot and die. So if you are like trying to back out and wait for an arrow, I'd say generally it's safer to come to this right side of the door instead, because that way the opposing team has to peek a lot deeper to shoot you here. And that way you catch an arrow and you can keep the fight going while your combo rotates to like help relieve the pressure on valley. Anyways, something you'll typically be explained to expect a sack here, so as usual you want your explosives holding the doors and like getting a spot and getting damage. And then as pocket soldier you can also jump up to this fence wall, I guess you could call it whatever, on this fence, and if they're in choke you can get a bit of spam off before you're forced to like drop down to focus fire or whatnot. And then you're just playing to receive a sack. There's some counter sack stickies you can put up on this whole entire thing. You can also put them on the back side if they like to sack through around the back of valley. And that's pretty much it for the second hold on evens. Assuming you're disad playing to lead, you'll have your combo on battlements. That way you get vision into valley and choke and a bit of cafe as well. And this will let you sort of play to leave and not get caught to any Ubers, ideally. In the meantime, you should have your soldiers still on the same spots as usual. You'll be playing here to like get damage, hopefully get an early force out and then jump away. Or you can also have like one soldier die for the sword force if you have all your players up. Similarly, your pocket soldier will be here playing to leave. Anyways, that is the disad hold. can honestly kind of push through any of the doors, but I would say that because if you're pushing into their team on ad, then primarily they will be planning to leave either on cafe or through choke, and so the closest door to that would typically be Valley. So Valley is sort of like your default use through door, but you can also try it depending on the vision you get and like how many players they have up. As usual, look watching out for like high bombs or traps or any other sort of plays that the defending team might go for. Similarly, depending on how many players you have up or how much Uber you have, you can also drive through cafe or choke. One big thing to watch out for these doors, especially, I guess all of them really, but is that pretty commonly you'll see like a defending soldier standing up on your cafe roof, playing to just sort of like do some sort of high bomb and like get a sink or a drop or a force at the very minimum on your combo. Same thing, they can really jump to anywhere from there. So that's something to watch out for. You want to like get some players through first, either your pocket soldier or one of your scouts, and spot that out first, and that way you don't get caught to it. Same thing for cafe. You can go either way with cafe. You could either peek out through left or peek out through right. So you will have to sort of like get somebody else through one of the other flanks to like spot this soldier on top of the roof and deal with him before you can kind of like walk out. Otherwise, he just kind of rains rockets on your head. But this way you will also... Oh, I'm really laggy. Maybe it's because I'm streaming multiple places. Anyways. This way you can kind of come out either side. It's probably a bit safer to come out on your side here because it's slightly further away from any potential spam or damage or whatnot. But you could probably go through either side on cafe, and for any of these doors you could also, depending on if their players are like holding close to the doors, you can always use into them if they're close and caught. And if not, if they're really far away and giving you space, you can always just drive through. And then backing out to last. Defending last, I guess primarily, first off, disad, worst case scenario. If you have time, like let's say they Uber in and kill your medic on second, you should still have time to build up a gun, and if you do have time to do that, some nice disad gun spots are underneath these barrels here, or on top of these crates here, or you can always just do the pretty standard, have a gun built up right next to your spawn doors, if you have no time for anything else and you don't have time to move it up. You can also have a disad sniper if like you're really not going to get Uber by the time that they use into you, and this way you can kind of have your sniper hold this upper left angle, which forces them to pop immediately instead of drying it. Similar thing on this side, you can, I guess it's probably the best angle is around here, because this way you can still back up and not be caught to an Uber, and force them to use early. Otherwise, you can always have a heavy is always great, and the Pudas can help clean up into post Uber too once you successfully kite. In terms of playing to kite, you typically have your combo just close to the spawn doors, and this way you can, as they use through onto you, you can kite through and walk out the other side and then continue fighting. Or if they are not that aggressive, or like they don't take as much space as they could, you can also kind of rotate behind these windows instead, behind points, and this will also let you fight on your side of the map while they have theirs. Where should Pudas stand? On process he stands right heaven. Ideally, you don't want your heavy dying to an Uber, so you would still have him also playing to kite. So just opposite wherever the Uber comes in typically, but and similar with the disad gun spots. You don't really want a heavy here because if they notice you're heavy, he just dies. But in any of the other sort of general areas, you can have a heavy here playing to shoot down whoever's not in the Uber, or just to kite and then fight the people who are in the Uber once the Uber ends. And then on an evens hold here, you would typically have your demo man holding close upper, well, not quite in here, but you'd have your demo man holding this upper left door. You have one soldier standing on crane, or whatever you want to call it, and then your second soldier will be holding right side. Typically, for my teams, it was the roamer. Roamer would sit here, and then pocket would play on clear, and then you'd have your pocket playing to rotate whichever side needs help the most, or whichever side they're pressuring, or whenever your roamer just generally gets unhealthy. Small note, there is like a little secret hiding spot here. it's not that secret, but it can catch some people off guard, like maybe once. It's sort of one of those one and done things where you can maybe go for a play here once, have like a scout bait for you or a sniper bait for you. But I would not recommend like consistently staying up in here and hoping for a pick, because once they know you're there, they're just gonna roll you. Whoever is standing here, it's a sort of like a shared job between the crane guy and I guess the right side holder will be typically the one with better vision into dungeons, so both sort of doors are your responsibility to spam into. And then in the meantime, your demo will be here, and then your medic can kind of play wherever he's needed. If they're spamming hard upper left, he'll be healing the demo, and if not, he'll be kind of tanking your soldiers to get spammed, keep them out through this door. Evens gun spots will, obviously you don't want to hide it. The purpose of an evens gun is to try and deny as much space for sacks as possible, so you can typically you can put a sentry on either one of these on either side of point. And I've seen some people also put like a gun spot here, and this is sort of like the anti-sniper hold, because if you put your medic here and like a gun here, there's really not much space for them to sack without or spam a gun out without having to like peek really deeply, and when you do that you kind of get bombed by soldiers. So that's another spot you can put a sentry gun, and it'll be pretty good as well. I think some people also like just straight up default to putting their gun around here, or like also having a dispenser armor here. But yeah, there's like the 3 main spots you can put a gun. I guess you could also put it like a bit further behind on point here, but putting it close to the doors is nice because then it just denies them as they come in. Dispenser spots actually on this map are kind of useful. It depends on like what's happening on the map, because like sometimes it's nice to have a dispenser up here, because if your medic's sort of like tanking your players on here, then your demo man has to live off this one pack, and layering sticky's kind of expensive sometimes. So you can put a dispenser up here. Alternatively, you can also put a dispenser in front of point for your medic to stand in as dispenser armor. You can also put a dispenser on this side, like right behind these barrels, for your soldiers to kind of spam off of, because they also only just have this one pack to work with. But I would say watch out, because if they bring their demo man here, I'm pretty sure they can like spam pipes and sticks right over, and if you're just sitting here on low health, you will die. So in those situations, it's best to jump away, tell your crane guy to bomb in and take over for you while you go and do stuff and do whatever. And that sort of thing. I'm told, I've never actually seen this used in an actual game, that you can put a teleporter exit here as well, and like have a sniper head glitch over this. That feels like kind of a gimmick to me. I wouldn't say like include that as part of your default hold, but I suppose if you have time and your entry and sniper are just not really doing much else, you could put a teleporter exit here and run your middle head glitch. But yeah, I wouldn't really count on that as part of your sort of stalwart defense. And then yeah, that's the evens hold. When the gun goes on the points up against that wall, allows someone to cap. This wall? Are you talking about like here? When the gun goes up on points against that wall, on the points, when the gun goes up on the points against this wall, allow someone to cap without getting shot by the gun. Is the point to hide the gun from one side? Not really. A sentry gun put here will, I mean, I guess it is slightly less susceptible to spam on whichever side opposite you put it on. So like, if you put it here, I mean, it can still be spammed. The gun can still just be spammed because it's kind of a big thing. You absolutely can still hit it with rockets, but it's sort of like there's not a huge difference in like the positioning, which is why I say it's okay to put it on either side. I don't think there's much nuance to when you'd want it explicitly on one side or another. You just kind of have it here generally to like deny bombs from all the doorways while your med stays safe. Although I will also note that having your gun on here is a little bit also, I'm pretty sure it can also be spammed from dungeon, but again, you should have players ready to like counter spam whoever's doing that, so that way they don't like just take the gun down for free. What else? Snipers, defensive sniper on evens is also very nice for similar reasons. You have this whole massive sight lines across points, although you should also watch out for in case they have snipers and whatnot. And there's also pushing out. There's a pretty solid sight line if you want to get aggressive to lower lobby there if you have a sniper here. And there's also a sight line pretty much there's like a bit of a choke sight line here if you want to peek shutter and you have someone peek for you, there is a sightline into choke from Shutter that you can run as a sniper. What next? Pushing out of last, I suppose. Alright, so say you've successfully defended your last hold, you have big ad or big player advantage. If you just have big player advantage, you can kind of go through whatever door you want, assuming that you know that they don't have explosive classes up, especially. So you can either peek through, I mean, always watch out for traps on these sort of like narrow doorways, especially ones like opposite to where you come from, opposite to where you're facing. So clear for traps, clear for bombers, the usual, the hide plays. Well, I suppose another spot there is. I think it's very good, but you can technically hide here. You can also hide in dungeon. Assuming that like, that's why it's always like in this deep corner here, nobody can actually physically see you, which is why it's always good to have like one of your flank players. I like to have my roamer do it. He just like comes through and like, shoots a rocket there and gets no hit markers, and there's no one there. But yeah, have whichever team side your combo goes through, you should have your flank going opposite that as the mirror, and thus if you can push out with all the doors held properly, then boom, that's the second. So on player ad, that works with any of the doors, because as long as you spot the players in front or you clear the doors properly, you know where they're not. You can kind of go through wherever. But let's say it's just Uber ad. I'd say traditionally the default use through would best use through is probably through lower, sorry, because you can kind of, if they're holding Valley, they're obviously like totally caught, and similarly you can get a pretty good jump off as a demo man into the choke. If they're playing Cafe, and like ideally you probably don't want to be using through, because the distance you have to cover as like running a skeleton head isn't the greatest, it's kind of long. But yeah, you can use through this door, but you can also drive through this. If like, especially this is like one of those examples, like if they're Cafe and like they're just giving you free space, you can just take it and like get on the points and whatnot. And then for these doors, I'd say if they have their explosive classes up but they're close, like they're holding a right here on points, this would be a pretty okay door to use through, and like catch whoever's like standing here. And yeah, it'll all depend on like what players are up and what players you have and what sort of advantage you have at the same time. Have I covered anything? Have I missed anything? Check my notes. I guess I could go for like trap spots, like, or whatever. There's a couple of them. Some pretty common traps that you have your usual, you just see them all over the walls and whatever. But you can also hide them inside these areas here. I like to put like this trap on either side, and you can have some pretty sneaky traps in here. As similarly on Cafe, you can hide them on any sort of like any wall that faces you as demo man is typically a pretty okay place to put a trap on. Like for example, this little lip here, especially since people like to like come through and like jump up without looking, they can get caught by a trap there. You can put traps above this roof. You can actually hide traps inside this little whatever you call the underneath of a window, like, as well as like any sort of like wall that faces you, as I mentioned. So you can hide those on second. I don't think there's really any sneaky traps on last, other than there's this, whatever gas meter or whatever. You can hide sticks inside this as well, so that's something to watch out for if you are taking it through lower lobby. You can always hide the usual, kind of gimmicky, and it's not really like a consistent defense thing, but you can always hide things in health packs and whatnot. On mid, you can always hide them, like just whatever walls face you. You can hide. I've seen some people hide things in like these little ammo packs as well. I don't know how consistent that might be, but as usual, you can do that as well. Oh, I forgot. There's also a couple hide spots in. Depending on which side is attacking Valley here, the opposite tucked deep corner is like a spot that you may find people in occasionally. So that's something to watch out for. Whenever you clear this, you should always like. I keep this angle hidden while you clear this one and sort of like clear them one by one. Another super gimmicky thing, which I'm not sure how well it works, is you can hide underneath this. I've never seen it actually work, but it is technically something you can do, similarly to here. I'm not sure if your shadow shows through on this side either, but if it doesn't, this is another good hiding spot. I'm not going to go into wall bugs, so there's like a wall bug here too, which I've seen people use pretty commonly. And yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to cover. I don't think, not the greatest, most graceful ending to it, but if you have any questions, please let me know in chat. I'll stick around for maybe 5-10 minutes. Where's the Twitch? I missed it in the beginning of the review. It's I have it linked in class announcements further up, I guess. I'll copy the message link and post it in the chat. I have both the Twitch and YouTube link there, so if you wanted to catch the recording later, then you can watch it on there. Any other questions? Give it a couple minutes, but if no more questions, I will pretty much be calling it there. Oh, I suppose there's also one more hiding spot I forgot. There's also the admin corner. You can hide in this deep cubby here. This is another spot that always needs to get cleared whenever you push out or whenever you don't see other players. I don't think this is a very good one because you're kind of exposed to what is here. So I wouldn't recommend hiding here if you want to. And in general, I'd say hide plays are kind of gimmicky anyways, so you don't really want to be going for them constantly because people are just going to catch on, you're just going to die for free. Better to get out and regroup with your team and then fight the point properly with all your players. Alright then, I don't see any more questions, so if nothing else, I will be ending the stream here. Thanks for watching.